Shalom, shalom, Israel. Children of Israel Open Hands Ministry, or as we like to call ourselves, the Cultural Development Center. We're just here today to do a little presentation for you. We know that a lot of subject matter comes up, especially with people that just come into the way knowledge of who they are as far as being Yisrael. How do we know we're Israel? What does Israel look like? So we're actually going to do a little presentation today. Have a PowerPoint in store for you. My name is Baruch Israel, Moray or teacher at Children of Israel Open Hands Development Center or Cultural Center. This is the other two Morays. You introduce yourselves.
Moray Kazaki of Israel.
Kane, I'm Moray Malaki of Israel.
Kane. They teach, Moray teaches our culture study. Moray Malaki teaches our Torah portions, and I kind of do various subject matter. So we're definitely going to try to come with a different approach. We're definitely going to try to come with a different approach today. Normally, most presentations, people come with Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 28, and then they start explaining the curses and how we fit the curses, which are good teachings. We're not here to come against other brothers out here teaching the truth. We're not here to attack camps or anything like that. We're just here to share more truth and add a little more to it. I know sometimes in your walk, you may get a little on the fence about who you are and say, well, what if we're not? And, you know, it's the Most High a lot of times sends something to you to confirm within a person. So we're actually going to do a presentation on just what does Yisrael look like. So we're not going to so much go into the curses, more so with just dealing with scriptures on what does Yisrael look like from a, not just from a scriptural, even though that's enough, but we're going to come, we like to come from a historical or archaeological and a scriptural perspective. So we're going to got a PowerPoint. We're going to go ahead and get started with the PowerPoint. Probably going to break this up into two parts for you, part one and part two. So we're going to go ahead and get started with part one. All right. So once again, it's what does Israel look like from a historical, scriptural, and archaeological perspective by Children of Israel, or COY. All right. So commonly, a lot of times you'll see pictures on TV or television, and then you'll hear Jew or you'll see Jew, and all of a sudden you'll see one of the pictures like what you see to the left, what we're looking at right now. And you'll say, okay, a lot of times being brought up in this way in the Western world is toward the left. That's what you see. Those are the Jews of the Bible, according to what you're being taught in this country. A lot of times you don't see what you see to the right, which are, you know, more in line with the ancient look of the Hebrews or the Israelites, and not just the Hebrews or the Israelites, but the ancient Shemitic people. And we're going to go through this today and try to give you a little more, make you a little more steadfast in that understanding. So which is which? To the left, Jewish, or to the right, Yisrael? All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, I'm going to start dealing words for black in the Tanakh. Tanakh just means to Torah, the Nabim, and the Ketubim, which means the writings, the prophets, and the Torah. So we're going to try to keep most of the information from a what people would call Old Testament point of view. Not that we won't go into the Messianic writings, but we try to establish everything with Torah, you know, or Tanakh, and then go from there. So the first word we're going to dealing with black, that's translated as black, and usually in the King James Version and versions like that, is kamar, right? Kaf mem resh, okay? Prime root, to grow warm and tender, to grow hot, to become hot, deeply kindled, stirred, shriveled, darkened by burning, or blackened, to be burned. Also, idolatrous priests were called kumarim, and they were known for wearing black robes. Some of you may have heard of the black robe priest and things of that nature. According to our culture, those you would see most of the time black robes, they were always idolatrous. We didn't wear those types of garments. Let's go to the next slide. All right, these are some scriptures using the word kamar. It's in the book of Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 10, or the book of Echad in Hebrew. It says, our skin is black like an oven because of burning heat, because of the burning heat of famine. So when it says black like, some translations, it may say hot like in some texts, hot like an oven, okay? As you can see in Hebrew, it says nechamaru, right? Nechamaru or kamaru. That's the word kamar, using black like an oven, okay? So that's the word it's using to say black like an oven. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. As you can see in the picture to the left, you see there's a Caucasian's hand, and there's a little bitty, I'm gonna use the term black just for understanding purposes, a little black hand there that's all shriveled up, and it's darkened because of famine. And as you can see to the right, these are pictures of what they call the Jews in the Holocaust. And as you can see, their body is totally opposite of what that particular scripture is saying. They have become thin, of course, but as you can see, their skin turns pale white, which is normal for when somebody of a white complexion, I'm using the term white complexion, is going through a famine or even sickness. They become pale, almost like ghost looking. As you can see on the left, the little black hand or the little African hand, I'm not sure exactly who it is, but I just got the picture to prove the point. It's become dark, shriveled up, kind of like a raisin or a prune or something of that nature, which also goes right along with Lamentations chapter 5, verse 10. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. Scriptures using kamar. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 4. And it says, and I will stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal from the place and the name of the idolatrous priest with the priest. That word for idolatrous priest is kumarim. The kumarim were known for wearing black coats. That's why they called them the kumarim. Okay, so as you can see in Hebrew and Hebrew, right there, that word right there is ha kumarim, which ha just means the kumarim, the priest, the idolatrous priest. They put idolatrous priest, but it was really like the black coats. Okay, im ha kohanim. Okay, with the kohanim or the priest. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, in this picture, you see that these are the black robes, some of the more modern, but black robe priests. You see how they wear the hood, the black robe. Some people say it's because of the ash, they're doing sacrifices or whatever. However, our priests did not wear that. So now we're going to go into a little segment just to touch on some scriptures that deal with what did our priests wear? What did our people wear? What were they commanded to wear and to have on? Okay.
So the next scripture that we're going to go into, this is Shemot chapter 28 or Exodus chapter 28, starting at verse 4. And this is just to give you a general idea of how the priests in Yisrael were commanded to wear, what they were commanded to wear, and what they would look like. So it says, and these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, and a tunic of sheker work, and a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aharon, thy brother, and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. All right, verse 5. And it shall take gold and blue and the purple and the scarlet and the fine linen, and thou shalt weave the tunic in the sheker work of fine linen, and thou shalt make a mitre, of fine linen, and thou shalt make a girdle, the work of a weaver in colors. You want to add something on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we skipped down to verse 39. We read 4 and 5, and then we skipped down to 39 and 40.
Right. All right, this is verse 40. And for Aharon's sons, thou shalt make tunics, and thou shalt make for them girdles, a head tires shalt thou make for them for splendor and for beauty. All right, so we go back to this picture above, right? When we were talking about the Kumarim and they were wearing the black robes, as we see, this is completely different from what the priest in Yisrael would wear. Everything that we did or anything that we were commanded to wear was strictly, it spoke to the Most High's character. Okay. Go to the next one. All right. So the next word that we're going to deal with is the word shakar. Okay. You have a shin, chet, and a resh. All right. This means a primitive root to be black. Okay. Turns black, dawn, or daybreak. All right. Here are a few words or a few scriptures, that deal with the word shakar. I'm going to show that slide again just in case you want to write it down and reference it again. Here that is, shakar. Shin, chet, resh. Okay, so that's Hebrew number 7835. And if you go to Job chapter 30 or Job chapter 30, verse 30, it says, my skin is black and my bones are burned with heat. All right, it says ir shakar. All right, me'oli, right? So that word for that's referencing his skin is the word shakar in Hebrew. Okay, you have a shin, chet, resh.
Yeah, that's the word that's representing color, the color of his ori. Ori means skin. Mm-hmm. My skin, shakar, black. Me'oli. Okay.
All right. Also, if you go to Yeshayahu, commonly called Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 20, it says, for instruction, and for testimony, if they do not speak of this, it is because they have no light. Okay, so I'm going to go back up a slide again. And remember, we visited this word shakar. All right, it means to be black or turns black. All right, dawn or daybreak. Okay, so think about, what the skies look like just before daybreak. There's not really any light there. Okay, so and again, this is just to show the understanding of the word shakar, which means to be black. Okay, so here's an example of what I'm talking about. If you look at the bottom of the screen, okay, of course in the horizon, right, you can see that the sun is beginning to rise or it's becoming dawn. But if you look at the bottom, right, there's nothing there. It's completely dark. It's completely black. Okay.
Here we have the third word, which is Hebrew word 2822. It's choshek from 2821, darkness or obscurity. Also darkness, obscurity, to be dim, gloom, terror, ignorance, and to hide. We can go to scriptures, Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And it reads, now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the spirit of El hovered over the face of the waters. In the Hebrew, it reads, Waha'aretz hayata tohu wabohu choshech al panei. Tohum waruach Elohim marakafet al panei ha mayim. The word that we have for darkness is choshech. Choshech. In verse 11, if you go down to verse 11, it reads, and if I say, surely the darkness shall envelop me, and the light about me shall be night. In the Hebrew, it reads, wa omar, ach choshech, yashu feni, walayla or, ba'adeni. The word again there is choshech, for darkness. If you go down to verse 12, even the darkness is not too dark for thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness is even as the light. And in Hebrew it reads, Gam choshech, lo, yochoshech, mimecha, walayla kayom, waor, chosheka kaore. Again, the word there for darkness is choshech, and not too dark is yachoshech.
Right. So basically, the point that we're trying to convey is that there are a lot of terms that are associated with what we understand to be the English word dark, or or what we call black. Okay. So this is something that, as you read the Tanakh, all right, these different words that we're going over, you'll see these words commonly through and throughout the Tanakh. Okay, and this is just building upon the point of really establishing the premise of Yisrael, embedded in scriptures, if we're paying attention to what we're reading.
And also, we're not saying that all these words, kamar, choshech, we're not saying that these words mean black like the English word black, like just means black. They're a little more descriptive, and they have different understandings to them, but ultimately, all of them mean dark. Now, there are duality of meanings, like choshech can also mean ignorance. If you're ignorant of something, that means you're in the dark about something. So it still has that symbology or that meaning to it. So like I said, just want to reiterate, we're just not saying these words all mean was black. Of course, they're different words because they have slightly different meanings, or they bring a little bit greater understanding to what's being said or conveyed through our guide, or our history book, our culture. All right?
Absolutely. And also to build upon that, you'll see that a lot of these words, they parallel with our people. Okay. So, what we're doing is we're going through a foundation, showing you some vocabulary that's, in your Hebrew scriptures, right? And if you see this word and you come across this word in the text, you see how it corresponds with people that look just like you and I, from the lighter shades of brown to the darker shades of brown. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And just as some references, we're not using the Strong's Concordance. Okay, we're using multiple references. Jacinius is one. Browns and Diggs is another. The Davison. These are lexicons and things that are pretty well known. They got a little weight on them. So, and there are others. So we're not just using. So we're pulling these definitions out of not just the Strong's Concordance, for those who may be wondering. All right. Okay, word number 4 we have is Kedar, right? Kedar. You may have heard this before. The sons of Kedar, Kudar. It means it's from Strong's number 6937. We're using Strong's references for for new beginners or people that are fairly new into the way. So you can go look these numbers up. Strong's has more of a universal numbering that a lot of people go by. Kedar, a prime root, to be dark, become dark, dark, darken, grew dark, grow dark, mourn, mourning, sit, turbid. And as you see, these things have a little bit duality of meaning. Like to mourn, you're in a dark place when you're mourning. Okay, so it still has the logic or the concept is still there. So that's word number 4. We're going to go down to the next slide. We're going to deal with some scriptures, and what we're trying to do is give you 2 or more witnesses to everything that we're saying. That way, it's not just, oh, they pull that one scripture or makes it look like we're what? Proof texting? Proof text. You want to explain proof texting to them?
Well, proof texting is just a simple process of when one is trying to prove a point. They go to a certain scripture, they pull a particular verse out of the scripture, and they try to use that verse as the end all, be all, vice read the entire chapter for the context in context.
Okay.
So they proof texting.
Okay. All right. So basically, we're gonna go to Shir HaShirim, commonly referred to as Psalms of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2. We're gonna start at 5 and 6, actually. Chapter 1, verse 5 and 6. I am black, but comely, O daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Shalomo. Okay, so it says Shakura, ani. I am Shakura. I am black, is what they put in English, but they say I'm dark, right? I'm gonna skip down a little bit. Let me go here. Benot, Yerushalayim. This is daughters of Yerushalayim. Ke ahali, right? Like ka or ke ahali, like the tents. Kedar, right? So we got 2 words. One, we got the prime root of this word, shakura, right? That's the word used for dark. We went over shakura earlier. Okay, or shakar for meaning black, right? So he says shakar or shakura ani, right? Now they said like ahali, the tents of Kedar. So it's using 2 words to describe a person, right? Okay, verse 6, it says, look not upon me, Shlika, that I am swarthy, that the sun hath tanned me. My mother's sons were incensed against me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Now, I told about this before. Shir HaShirim, or Songs of Solomon, is very poetic and it's very prophetic also. They just didn't put it up there for no reason. A lot of people misunderstand what's being said in Shir HaShirim. So just to throw something out there, maybe he's saying that, well, let me get into swarthy for a minute. Swarthy is like a code word. A lot of people don't know what the word swarthy means. But swarthy, it's brown skin. It's a darker skinned person, a person of color. Okay, so it says she'ani, shakorak, rockrat. All right, so the root of that is what? Shakar. You see that once again, shakar. Same word, same root. Now the root just means that's the 3-letter, 2 or 3 letter that word is built upon, or constructed upon. So we looked at shakar. That's the root of this word right here. Okay, so he says, "Look upon me, not that I am swarthy." So it could be something that's prophetically saying that my mother's sons were incensed against me. You see what I'm saying? So my mother's son, you could say, who is the mother? You could say Mother Jerusalem. You could say Mother Earth. They were angered or offended by me. So if you look at what's going on in Yisrael today, the nations are offended by us. I'm gonna use that. You see what I'm saying? But we're dark. And he said, my mother's son bore incest with me against me. They made me keeper of the vineyards. Think about that. We came here as keepers of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. So it could be a little prophetic message in there. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but just wanted to bring that out. Shlika. Let me go back. 1. All right. So the second 2 scriptures, chapter 5, verse 9 through 10. Why is thy beloved more than another beloved? O thou fairest amongst women, what is thy beloved more than another beloved, that thou dost so adjure us? All right, now look at this. This is interesting. It says, my beloved is white and ruddy, preeminent above 10,000. His head is verse 11. His head is as most fine gold. His locks are curled and black as a raven. All right. So first I want to touch on verse 10. It says, Dodi azak, right? Wa adom, right? Degul merababa. Okay. So I want to touch on, it says, my beloved is tisak, right? Tisak is a very interesting word because they put white there for tisak. And that word does not even mean white. And it says, wa adum, right? Edom. Edom is the word for ruddy. I know people try to say Edom this, Edom that. Edom means ruddy, red or ruddy. That's what Edom means. Same word as Adam, primarily the same root, okay? So, now the question I have to ask is, how can you be white and ruddy? How can you be white and ruddy if that's a proper translation, which is why we're looking into the Hebrew or the Hebrew. So the word is tisak for white, and the word for ruddy is adum. So we're going to go back to that. And of course it says black like a raven. It says shakarot k. Let me go down a little bit. Right above this, right here, shakarot ke urab, right? Black like a raven. So for black like a raven, we know that word shakar means black because it's shakarot, the root of shakar. It says black as a raven. Now a raven is clearly pitch black. Okay, so just to give you more proof of those words meaning exactly what it says it means. Okay, now I want to go back up and then we're going to come back to that white and ready. But the word for the tense of Kedar in chapter 1, verse 5, like the tense of Kedar. So tense of Kedar. If you don't know what the tense of Kedar, if you go into the land today, you'll see the Bedouins and people of that nature, or the sons of Kedar, which is Ishmael's son. They live in tents, and this is what the tents look like. Very interesting. Brown and black top tents. Look at that. Black top tents. And you see this today. I was in Israel a couple months ago, and that surely is the case. Okay, let me go back up to that scripture. It says black, but calmly, or really it says and calmly. It doesn't say black but calmly, like that's ugly. You see what I'm saying? So it says wa no'ot. Wa, or the wa in front of it means and. So I am black and comely. Okay, so let me go back down. Tense of Kedar, like the tense of Kedar. That's the tense of Kedar. Okay.
Okay, so this the word zak, right? This is a very interesting word, and the fact that they most translations render this as the English word white, that really should beg the cause to ask a few questions, because this word does not even mean white, and we're going to get to what could be translated as white here in a second. But it really just means to be clear, or be dazzling. Okay. a couple of references that we have with that. You have Yeshaya chapter 18 verse 4, and Eka, commonly called Lamentations chapter 4 verse 7. All right. The Hebrew word for white is Laban. Okay. And we're going to actually show you exactly what Laban means. You know, it's not white in theory of looking at a white piece of paper. Okay. Even white in scripture has some type of pigment to it, right?
I'm going to read that Yeshaya 18:4 real fast, just so you can see what this word tasak is, sak or tasak is mentioned, and show that it doesn't. We're showing that the scriptures like with Shekar, Kedar, Kumar, Koshek, these words all mean, when you read it, it's in context of what the word means. But they put white there. Let me read a scripture in Yeshaya chapter 18:4 that uses sak or tasak, right? 18:4. For thus saith the Most High Yah, thus saith Yah, for thus Yah said to me, I am still and I watch in my dwelling place, like dazzling heat in sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. What does your translation say, Kazakia?
For thus said Yah to me, I will be at ease, and I will look after my place of foundation like crisp warmth after the rain, like a mist of dew in the heat of the harvest.
They use crisp warmth. You hear that? Crisp warmth. Now you're reading from what?
A Jewish publication. This is
a Jewish publication.
A stone to knock.
Stone to knock. I'm reading out the scriptures, and then we're gonna get one more translation out of the Digalot.
Right, and it says, "For thus saith Yahweh, who has told me, I will look from my dwelling place quietly, like dazzling heat in the sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest."
Okay, so let's go back to the scripture that used dazzling. You want to talk about that?
Talk about
the one that used dazzling. I am white, right?
Okay, yeah. So back in Shir HaShirim, Songs of Solomon chapter 5, verse 10, it says that my beloved is white. Now we just gave two references describing this word sak in the Hebrew. So the question is why or how could, ruddy, and by theory of definition, the word white, how could these two correspond together when the word zak doesn't even refer to white? These are not even the same word, that they're not contextually related or anything like that. Okay, so clearly that's a mistranslation in the English. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna change a word. I'm gonna translate this a little different. My beloved, Dodi, right? My beloved is dazzling and ruddy, preeminent above 10,000. Now, does that make better sense? Like, my beloved is dazzling and ruddy. That makes more sense than white and ruddy. Okay, think about it. Just some translations. What are they trying? As Moreh Malachi said, what are they trying to do when they put white in there? Think about that.
It's all leading.
Huh?
It all leads, shapes your thoughts.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to look at the word Laban, which is translated for white in the scriptures. Okay. And as we just discovered, the word zak cannot mean white. Okay. So if we go to Bereshit or Genesis chapter 30, verse 35, it says, "And he removed that day the he-goats that were streaked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white in it, and all the dark ones among the sheep, and gave them into the hands of his son." Okay, so if you look in the Greek there, all right, as we have in blue, okay, it says Kol Asher Laban. Okay, so essentially, this is like white, all right, or like Laban. All right. if we go to Bereshit or Genesis chapter 49, verse 12, it says, his eyes shall be red with wine and his teeth white with milk. Okay. And again, there we have the word Laban right here, Laban. Okay. So let's look at that. All right. Let's look at one more reference. Okay. So in Shemot chapter 16 or Exodus chapter 16, verse 31, it says, and the house of Yisrael called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, right? White. And the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Okay. So there it says God Laban. Okay. So if you look at Laban, it says coriander seed. So if you know what a coriander seed looks like, all right, coriander seeds have tint to them. All right. And we have a picture right here referencing coriander seed. Now, if you look at the background is clearly white. Okay. But the coriander seed, right, is in different contrast to the background. So even that has some type of pigment to it. All right. So another thing to show you is that this is just not speaking of what you would, consider predominantly dark people. Okay. This brown goes from, like I said earlier, the lightest shades of brown to the darkest shades of brown. All right. And it's just to show you how white is referenced, or what we call white is referenced in the scriptures, which is totally different from the English rendition of the word white. Okay. So again, you have to ask yourself the question, hold up, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay. This says white, but when I look at Laban, this doesn't match up to the background. That background is white in that picture, right? Those coriander seeds are Laban.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then the final word that we have here is Edom or Edom. All right. From the same as Hebrew 1:19, right? The name of a condiment, right? It means to be red, ruddy, made red, or dyed man, ground, or reddish brown, mahogany. Okay. Edom. All right. So, if we look at the definition of this word, Edom or Edom, all right, this too has some fragment of tint to it. Okay. Mahogany, reddish brown, dyed red. Even that's not white by theory of what's in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Okay. So we have to really pay attention to what it says here. Okay. Let's look at some shades of mahogany. Right? Let me go back to the definition of this word again, just in case you might have forgot. Right? Edom. Right?
I say something. If you look up like in a strong concordance, it wouldn't even say a mahogany. It just gives you the thought it's just red. And that also is a detractor, and it's limiting the actual range of the color. Mm-hmm. That type of brown.
Okay. So what we did here, we just these are just all different shades of mahogany. All right. And,
got this off a flooring site.
Right. Even if you look at the Jacob bean over there, right there.
Jacob bean brown right there.
Isn't that something?
Ain't that something? Jacob bean mahogany.
So even if you look at this, you can see the reddish tint to the brown.
Right.
Okay. So, when you think about Edom or Edom, right, which is the same word for Adam, right, you can get a grasp of a color scheme. Okay. And even in that, it varies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got a really light brown over here, and then you got some dark brown over here to the left. Okay.
And look at the red mahogany they got. Mm-hmm. Look at red mahogany. They said that's red mahogany.
So think about this, Yisrael. How many things that are around you every day that you see every day that reference you in the scriptures?
That's it.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're building upon the premise in Deuteronomy chapter 28 to show you something, outside of the curses. You know what I'm saying? You're more than just the curses. And when you read this book, you get a vivid description of what our ancestors look like.
Mm-hmm.
So you can link yourself to your ancestors outside of just, we know we were brought over here on some slave ships.
Right. And to make another point, you say Edom. Edom is the same word as Adam.
Mm-hmm.
He was called Adam because he was made from the what? The dust of the ground. So if he was made from the dust of the ground, Adam, Edom, it's only thing that changes the sound is a vowel, right? Is a vowel point. Edom, Adam, Edom, Adam. He was made from the dust of the ground. So there's no way that he could look like them pictures, Adam and Eve, the white man and white woman naked. Okay? No. He was made from the dust of the ground. He was made from Edom, from dirt. Okay? Dust.
Right.
And he even told you what kind of dust or dirt. All right?
And, we have to bring it out this way to go into depth like this because so much has been put into telling you the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So we're showing you from the very beginning, if we look at the Hebrew words that we looked at, Shakar, Choshek, even all the way down to Adam right now, just simple, looking at vocabulary, you see where these things point to. Okay? Look at that. Adam, reddish brown. Now look at that. You have a hand there. Okay? And you have some Adam sand, some reddish brown sand. Now, it's not an attack on anybody or anything like that. But if Edom is the hand, then we're missing something in contrast.
That's right.
Okay. So, the Torah tells us to have equal weights and equal measures in our bag. Okay. And we're looking at this from all points of view based on the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this sister on the right-hand side, that's a beautiful sister. She's reddish brown.
Mm-hmm.
Her hair is reddish brown. Edom.
That's what you would say. Her hair is Edom.
Is Edom.
Edom. Coming from the Adamah, the ground. See how these words are related? Word for ground, Adamah, Adam, Edom. Same word, same spelling. Same word. Beautiful sister, but she's the color of the ground earth or the brown earth. Makes a little more sense, don't it?
Okay. Scripture. So we're gonna go to 1 Samuel or 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 12, and the verse reads, "And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and with all of beauty, beautiful eyes, and goodly to look upon." Right? In the Hebrew, it says, "Weho admone." Weho admone. And that word in English is translated as ready. As you can see, is admo or Adam is in admone, the root word.
So it's saying that, this reddish brown with beautiful eyes was good to gaze upon.
Now, who are we describing here?
David.
Yep. This is what our book describes David or David or Daoud as. It says they brought him in. Now he was Adomini, right? Well, who and he Adomini, right? That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Im, Yafa, right? Anim, eyes, beautiful eyes, right? Watub, Rea, or beautiful and nice to look upon, or goodly to look upon. That's what it says. He was ready, Adomini. So if he was Ro'i, came. Now if he was the color of that hand, I would have a problem saying that he was Adomini or Adam or Edom. But it says he was more like this, like the sister, with beautiful eyes, right? I didn't say he had beautiful eyes. Scriptures say he has beautiful eyes. All right? Okay.
Okay. So if we go to Genesis or Bereshit chapter 50, verse 11 through 13. Here we have a text where you have Hebrews that were compared to the Egyptians. Okay, so we're gonna get that really quick. Bereshit or Genesis chapter 50, starting at verse 11. It says, "Now when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor, Atad, they said, 'This is a grievous mourning for the Egyptians.' Therefore it was named Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. Thus his sons did for him as he charged them, for his sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, which Abraham had bought along the field for the burial site of Ephron the Hittite."
So as you see from that scriptures, they all were similar, even though it was elders and stuff of Mitzrayim there or Egypt there. They had a similar look. Maybe that's not good enough for you. Maybe you say, well, no, it was a big old crowd of Egyptians there. That's why they thought that. Okay, well, let's keep going. Let's see what else Torah says. All right. Shemot chapter 2, verse 16 through 18. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moshe stood up and helped them. And Shemot is Exodus, by the way, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, "How is it that you have come in so soon today?" And they said, "A Mitzrite, Ish Mitzri, a man of Mitzrayim," or Mitzrite man, or Egyptian man, they would say in English, "delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and moreover he drew water for us and watered the flock."
That's just his clothes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that some might say, well, that's because he had on Egyptian clothes. Still, if a white man has on Egyptian clothes, then I might say, well, he was a white. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna see what Egypt looks like. That's the best thing to do, is keep moving down and see what Egypt looks like, because obviously it might have been the apparel, but there also had to be a similar look to them. It couldn't be a totally different look from what the ancient Egyptians looked like and still look like today versus what this man looked like, or Moshe looked like. Okay.
So we're going to go to scripture, Yirmiyahu, commonly called Jeremiah, chapter 26, verses 20 to 23. In verse 20, it reads, "And there was also a man that prophesied in the name of Yahweh, Uriah, the son of Shemaiah, the Kiriath Yarim, and he prophesied against this city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. And when Jehoiakim, the king, with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Uriah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went to Egypt."
Now, why would he go to Egypt?
It's a good question. Usually, when you flee to a place of hiding, you're gonna hide amongst people that looks like you, where you could blend in. You're not gonna go somewhere that you're gonna stick out. I wouldn't go to China and hide amongst the Chinese and try to blend in with the Chinese people. I think I'll be found.
So back in Shemot chapter 2, if Moshe would have stuck out, they would have recognized that, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of comparing them to somebody that they know, okay, that looks similar.
Mm-hmm.
There's a similar look, we could roll with that.
So you don't think an African American could go to Japan or China and put on some Chinese garments and blend in with the Chinese people?
He most definitely can. It's like me going to a white neighborhood trying to hide from the police. That's probably not going to work. Right. Just common sense. All right.
We're going to go to Acts chapter 21, verses 37 through 40. And starting at verse 37, it reads, "And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made an uproar, and leadest into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? But Paul said, I am a man which am a Yahudi from Tarsus, a city in Sicilia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. And when he had given him license, Paul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spoke unto them in the Hebrew tongue, saying, all right. Now, the question I will pose in verse 38 is, why would a Roman captain think that Paul was a Mitzrayite or an Egyptian?
Okay.
If not for what he looked like, his appearance, his phenotype.
That's right.
And Paul said, and he answered in verse 39, I am a man which am a Yehudi from Tarsus. In English, they're translated as a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
So here it's clear that Paul resembles what we consider Egyptian people.
But the question is what do the Egyptians look like then? These ancient Egyptians.
Egyptians look like Hebrews.
That's the question. They look like Hebrews. So now we got to find out, what do these Egyptians look like that people keep getting us confused with them?
Right.
Think, my people, think. People keep getting us confused with them. Yes, they were our closest neighbors. They absolutely were. But for some reason, just because if I have a neighbor that looks totally different than me, people are not going to get me confused with them. They're getting us confused with them.
And that's not even that's just leaving out a cultural difference, different attire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to still be mistaken for somebody that dresses completely different, a completely different costume is kind of far-fetched.
Okay.
So let's visit the question. What do the ancient Egyptians look like? Let's take a look. Uh-oh. Now, if you look at this sister on the left, she got an afro. Okay. She has nice eyes. She has, a full nose, full lips, right? And she's you remember how we talked about that mahogany red or that brownish, reddish brown color? Edom, right? If you look at this painting on the right, you have these you have brown-skinned Egyptians. And as Morey Kazakia said earlier, if we take out the premise of, they didn't identify us similarly in culture aspect, all right, or dress attire, so to speak. So what other way could they have identified us to say, you know what, these Hebrew people, you look like Egyptians.
Especially when it's coming from a completely different foreign nation from the region.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the Romans looking at the local inhabitants of the Levant, which is from Egypt, all the way over to the land of Canaan, Israel. So everyone had a general looking phenotype, whereas the Roman himself, depending on what part of the Empire of Rome he came from, had a completely different phenotype. So everybody to him will look the same.
Okay, absolutely. Let's go to the next picture. This is the 23rd dynasty. This is around the time period when Yisrael went into captivity to Babylon. Ain't that interesting?
Very.
So this is around the time where they went into Babylonian captivity, or Yisrael went to Assyrian captivity. 23rd dynasty. Look at this. These are the pharaohs, right? Look at this. This is Seti, father of Ramses. Okay? Father of Ramses, Seti. I got friends that look like him. Right? Sister here. Look at broad nose. Now, not everybody has a broad nose, but this sister does. Right? Full lips. Perfectly identifiable with us today. And that don't mean that every one of us came from Egypt because we look like them. These sisters. How many of y'all got sisters that look like this? How many of y'all got friends that look just like them too? Probably same hairstyle and everything. Full lips, full nose. This is what they don't want you to see. Brothers. Look at that. How many of y'all used to hang with a brother like this? 12th dynasty. This 12th dynasty, this is dealing around the time of Joseph, right? 18th dynasty. You might be dealing around the time of Moshe in this time. You see what I'm saying? So you see, these are very, these pictures they're defining, they're definite. Remember, this is the type of people that we're getting mistaken for.
And if you notice, even if you look at certain movies or whatever the case may be, you notice all the Egyptian people in these movies, they're normally pictated as people of color, right? But the Hebrew people, they look completely different.
Completely different. All right, let's go to the next slide. Look at this. Amenhotep the third. Look at this brother. Daughter of Akhenaten. Daughter of Akhenaten. Just giving you imagery. This is what they feed. This is what they fed you so that you wouldn't know who you were. Except they put Pharaoh up there, and Pharaoh was pale white. You remember the movie, The 10 Commandments? Pharaoh was pale white. Then Cush comes up in there, and Cush is like us. And it's very interesting because when you read your scriptures in Bereshit chapter 10, you'll know that Cush and Mitzrayim are brothers. Direct brothers, sons of Ham.
You look on the walls in the movie, you see people of color people.
Yeah.
They didn't take that out.
This is Akhenaten, right? Akhenaten was the one that brought Mitzrayim to a monotheistic practice. Some people say he was around the time of Joseph, or he might be Joseph or influenced by Joseph. But look at the brother. Right? Amenhotep. Just want to give you some images, plenty of images. What about Mashiach, right? What about that? What does it say about the description of the Mashiach in Revelation chapter 1, verse 12 through 15? And I turned to see a voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about in the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were like white like wool, right? White like wool, Laban like wool. Remember that, right? As white as snow. Okay, so we know he had bright white hair, right? And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Let's check out this unto fine brass, feet unto fine brass, right? I just wanted to bring out the hair like wool, right? See that? If y'all deal with sheep and things like that, they have a knotty type hair just like we do. It's the same texture, okay? This is brass. On the right, you see the brass, right? That's brass. And then you see this. This is brass, polished brass, burned in the fire and polished. How many of y'all got skin like that? That's what his feet look like. How many of y'all have skin like that? Think about it. Start looking at yourself. Stop looking out and start looking in. Mm-hmm. Look around at your people. We have an ancient look. An ancient look. Right?
So is this the heavenly look? Well, I guess we'll have to come back and tune back in next week to see if this is the heavenly look. Okay. And we want everybody to understand that we do this for 2 reasons. Okay. One is so that you can, identify yourself through scripture, archaeological premise, and historical fact. Okay. And 2 is, now you have something that you can build upon, that you can reference, that you can look at, and you can you can build upon this to learn more about who you are.
Right.
All right, because it does matter. A lot of people say it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? But the scriptures doesn't convey that as a thought. Okay, from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, it does matter.
Right.
Who Yisrael is does matter. All right, because that's your past, your present, and your future. Okay, so we're putting all this information out to our people, to give our people something to build upon, something to go study, something to go look up, and do the research for yourself. Do the research for yourself. And with that, we hope everybody was blessed in the presentation.
Okay.
All right, and we'll see you same time, same day next week.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna do part 2, and I hope y'all were Barak or blessed by this. Any comments? Definitely send some comments in. Let us, if you got any questions, kick some questions to us. We're not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to hide the books that we use, the information we're getting. We're not trying to hide any of that. We don't run from any questions. We're doing it strictly for the love of the people and for something that you can take and actually show to someone else that may be struggling with. How do you know that how you know that the ancient Hebrews look like that? It's a fact. We're going to continue to go through this. Like I said, next week, we're going to attack it even more, even harder on this archaeological, historical evidence. Of course, we got the scriptures. The scriptures is speaking. It's already speaking. It's been speaking, but you may not have heard it, or you may have been you may have been taught the scripture by somebody who does not understand the scripture, who's not looking at it from the original language.
Mm-hmm.
We're not no Hebrew scholars, we'll say that. But we know enough. We know enough that we can go in there, read, and translate it. And if we got to look some things up, we look it up, we find out what's going on. So please, by all means, come back next week, same time. We're going to go ahead and kick the part 2 off and get it going for you. Okay.
Okay. Feel free to visit us at the website www.openhandsdevelopment.org. Okay. Visit our website, and also the PowerPoint will be in the text box below. And again, we bid everybody shalom, and much love to our people that are seeking truth.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Baruch atah Yahuwah. Allah,